Guys, welcome to Transcendent Talk. In this episode, we are going to be talking about passion versus obligations. And at the end of the talk, I hope to have you see and understand how following your passion should be one of your obligations. However, if you're one of the early adopters, the benefit of it is that you do get to be on the top of the pyramid. The benefit of it is that everybody's rising together, right? So it's a different concept, taking things something we know and turning it upside down and thinking about it in a different way. Now, what happens when you follow your passion? It is something that actually gives you energy when you're doing something that you love and enjoy. If you're somebody who loves to cook, cooking becomes a source of rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation for you. Versus if you're somebody who has to cook just because that's your job, you get paid money for it, you get no appreciation for it, it's not feeding your soul, then it becomes a source of draining for you. So same activity, but for two different people, it either elevates them or sinks them. Now let's compare the situation of the chef with somebody who is not listening to their passion and are doing something in opposite of it. When you don't have energy inside of your soul, you become depleted. And if you're the other chef who is cooking without any appreciation, they don't enjoy doing this is not feeding their soul, the process of feeding others, it starts to take away from their energy, from their power. And then what can end up happening is instead of it being like a white hole, which, creates and produces kind of like the Big Bang, it becomes like a black hole where it basically starts to collapse in and of itself. And it starts to go ahead and suction and draw every other energy out around it because it becomes so much heavier and it becomes, a funnel of a suction funnel of energy of the people around them. So what can this end up looking like is when this miserable person comes home, instead of being able to enjoy the moment, what the moment gives them with the people that are around them, they will be too unhappy to not only enjoy it, but in the process of of their misery, feeling miserable in the process of being depleted. When somebody else comes seeking energy from them, they might snap, and this might turn into a fight, and this might turn into an unpleasant situation. For example, a mom who is cooking all day without appreciation, without break, without an outing, and is constantly criticized. That mom will have less patience with her family, with being around her spouse or being around her children, and it might end up being more of a bitter situation where she just wants to get away and wants some time for herself. Versus, a chef mom who gets to cook the Michelin 5-star restaurants, gets lots of attention, gets lots of praises, is appreciated for the work she creates, and it's beautiful and it's recognized for it. And they will come home, they will be more fuller, and they might be ready to share from their expertise with their family, with their friends, because they know that this is a high value output that they're giving, and that's going to be bringing joy to others because they have fulfilled it inside of themselves. Let's look at a dad in that side of the example. A dad who's at work, working really hard, knocking on every door. Their boss is angry at them, their colleagues are angry at them, or just there's gossip about that he's not getting the promotion, he's not getting the recognition at work or all the hard work that he does. And then he comes home and his wife and his kids want to come and spend time with him. It's holiday season, they want to go out shopping or do something with this man. He is not only unhappy because of the hardship that he's facing at work, there's potential potential layoffs, and at the same time his family's wanting something from him. So this might be a time when this stressed father might either explode on the others around them and create an unhappy situation for the family, or he might hold it in and implode in a way that can lead to substance use, just trying to contain the stress instead of figuring out how to talk about it. Versus if this was somebody who was recognized at work for their accomplishments, appreciated, getting raises and bonuses, and they come home and their kids and their wife are there at the door to greet him with a happy smile, they're ready to plan it for a vacation, that feeds him energy instead, so he can wake up the next day ready for work to go and do more, right? So if you had this opportunity to choose between doing something that made you happy, gave you energy, versus if you had to do the same thing that made you unhappy, drained you, took away from, the reason of your joy and your existence, which one would you choose? Which path would you rather take?
And I know that a lot of people might be thinking that this sounds like not a realistic goal to make passion one of your obligations, because oftentimes we believe that obligations are something that's not fun, it's something you have to do because it just needs to get done. However, if you make passion one of your obligations, what ends up happening is not only are you happier, not only do you have a more fuller life, but it makes the other aspects of your life much more enjoyable and much more fun to do, and living becomes a fun thing to do. And in the process of it, everything in your life becomes more enjoyable, you're happier, you're more content, you're exploring, and overall it's just a better state of mind, a better state of being. And so what do I mean by that? So next, I'm going to walk us through two different scenarios. So the first one is somebody who has to cook all day, okay? And this person is cooking all day without any appreciation, without any compensation, without any acknowledgement. And they're having to do this day in, day out, and they're approaching it like something they have to do to get through the day. This is one of their primary duties. This is a scenario many moms are possibly facing. And it's not just moms who do it at home. It can be employees who are working at the restaurant as well. It's not that at restaurant you get some sort of salary for it. Might be meager, might not be adequate. However, employees do get some compensation compared to moms or dads at home who are cooking just for their kids, right? They're paying for making their meal. Sometimes you don't get thank yous. But this scenario is different when there is a situation where this person loves cooking. Okay, any chance they get, they're always thinking about new recipes, they're checking out different recipes online, figuring out how to make it, and as they make it, they get recognized for it, they get appreciated for it, and what happens in return is it feeds their soul, right? It feeds their passion, and they want to continue growing it, just like a plant getting water, and more water and sun and nutrition that plant gets, the bigger it grows and the sweeter its fruits become when the time is right for the fruits to ripen. It benefits not only the person who plants the tree, it benefits the birds and the insects that also benefit from the different stages of this fruit growth and the propagation that can happen as somebody eats it, the seed goes and plants somewhere else, and new trees form and grow. So that is what happens when you water and feed and give sunlight and energy to your passion. It grows, it becomes something beautiful and big, and it continues to grow beyond you. And the more you do this, the more you see the fruits of your labor, the taste, the sweetness of it, of that passion project, the more you are energized to do more, right? The more leads to more, whether it be a good energy or a negative energy. And then let's take another scenario as example. This could be somebody who's at work and they go to work every single day. They wake up on time. They get there on time. They work hard. They work their butts off. And at the end of the day, they're still there writing, for example, doctors writing their notes. And their administration is still saying that they're not doing certain things right. They have to do more work to already put in to increase the needs of the company. And here, something that I have to face is not having time for my family. I have to be staying at clinic and working past 8 p.m. Despite the fact that I was being compensated at a pretty amount, I had no room for my passion. I was appreciated, but at certain times, if you don't get to feed your soul the way that it needs, it continues to deplete you, just like a plant doesn't get the sunlight that it's supposed to get. And so what happens is over time, people get burned out, their soul gets sucked dry, there's nothing left, and then it becomes like a center of gravity in and of itself, much like a black hole. Black holes are when stars collapse in and unto themselves, and it becomes so dense that not only it consumes all the energy around it, the light doesn't get through because it's just constantly sucking in the energy, because it has none of its own energy. So all it's doing is sucking in energy from outside. And so when you don't take care of your passion, you don't take care of your soul collapses in and of itself, and that void starts to suck in energy from every other aspect of joy around you. You might not appreciate or enjoy your spouse's companionship. You might not be present for your children growing up. You never have time for them. You don't have time to meet up and connect with your parents or your friends, or do things that you wish you were doing, right? And so if your obligation is that you want to reach that passion and you nurture it, and you make sure that you figure out how to replenish and guide it to bear its sweet fruit, you will make a way of reaching that state that will feed your soul from within. Okay, now this is something very interesting that I've noticed, is that when we do something good for others, there is something we get back in exchange of it. So it's something that feeds your soul in and of itself. And when you're putting a piece of your soul out there, right, that's what I feel passion is, that you're putting a piece of the purpose that your soul has out there, and it benefits somebody else. You see it making an impact out in the world. It makes you want to do more. And that's where our drive comes from, to do more, because the appreciation we see, the benefit it brings to others, just like that sweet fruit that grew on your tree. And so you do more and you get more back and you become more full. And then instead of becoming like a black hole that has no energy of its own, so it starts to suck the energy dry from everybody else around it, you become a source of energy. You just exude energy, you exude light, you exude happiness. And it's kind of like what a white star is, as I was told, or white hole, not a white star. And it's, something that the Big Bang was kind of the example of that, that concept of the white star. And so we become a white star that doesn't exist, right? At least not in the stellar world, but in and of itself, we're each a universe in and of ourselves. So with that, if you water and feed and nurture your passion, it's going to lead to something that will feed you back in return. So isn't it worth it, in that case, to make your passion one of your obligations? Isn't it worth loving you? With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up Transcendent Talk for today. Thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear, what your takeaway was for this this talk, and I would love to hear how it resonated with you. I would love to hear your story. Feel free to comment below. If you liked it, I would really appreciate a like, and please share it, and so I can continue to create more. Thank you so much for your time, and have a blessed day.
And so once again, we come back to that same topic of passion being your obligation, right? I know that there are certain things that we have to do whether we like it or not. However, if you could work towards making sure that your passion is what you end up doing for the rest of your life, to make sure that your soul is continuously nurtured and replenished with doing things that gives you joy, make that your obligation, because you have the power to choose. Then one way or another, you have to cook and you have to go to work to figure out a way to feed yourself or your family, right? And so the question becomes, are you going to do it in a way that makes you a white star, or are you going to do it in a way that makes you a black hole? And then Okay, and if you can always choose the way, if you choose that your obligation is going to be pursuing your passion, I guarantee you will figure out a way to get there, one way or another. It first of all starts with believing in your ideas yourself, and then it starts with acquiring the skills, taking the steps you need to get there. The initial part might be hard, but once you get into the role of it, in pursuit of that passion, it becomes energizing and a driving process in and of itself. With that, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for tuning in for this episode of Transcendent Talk. This is what I help my clients with Transcendent do to connect with their purpose, because purpose is where passion lies, and go from there. Thank you, and have a great day.